Losses are never expected, even though, sure, we might feel like we potentially might have had a slow start before week one. No one comes in expecting to lose. We always come in expecting to win.
Well, day one of week 3 of NALCS is complete here with coverage presented by OmniSlash. I'm joined right now by Bjergsen himself of Team Solomid to talk about their game against Golden Guardians. So talk to me a little bit about that game against Golden Guardians, because I just told them you were going to. How were you guys able to beat them?
It felt like MikeYeung just stepped up a lot. He was making a ton of plays, and they picked their range support, which is not played that much in recent couple months. They were very easy to gank, and we had the Braum Sejuani, which is just such a strong gank setup, and we just heavily abused that. And it felt like MikeYeung just kept killing bot lane. He took control over all of Contract's jungle, and it's made the game really easy to play.
Do you think that that's going to be, if we're starting to see a TSM correction, right, back to being the top tier team that you guys have historically been, do you think that it'll come because of Mike? Because Mike himself has been a little bit critical of his own performances. Do you think it's just sort of about him getting in the groove so that you guys can get to where you want to be?
Well, it's not just the way Mike plays, it's the way we play around Mike and with Mike and the way he plays with us. So I think integrating the jungler into our team, whether that would be Mike or any other player, is really important, because the jungle role is just so important. Wherever he goes, it decides what play we want to make on the map and who needs to play safe and who needs to play aggressive. So I think a lot of our focus as a team has been around Mike's decisions, how we should react to Mike's decisions. And like Mike told me, he hasn't played on a team where people actually communicate and set up plays and have smart strategies. So this is a first for him, and he's learning extremely fast, much faster than other players I've been with. So you can already tell a huge difference from week 1 Mike, week 2 Mike to week 3. And it feels like anything, especially that Mithy and I tell him, it sticks, and he picks it up so fast.
One of the popular memes in the TSM post-match threads and all that stuff was, come on, guys, it takes a while for Mike to transition into the role of a ward, and this is an ongoing meme, of course. Does it frustrate you at all that this is now, that more and more it's becoming the meme of like, all right, it's Bjergsen and 4 wards, Bjergsen needs to make his jungler a ward, like this kind of idea that it just becomes all about you at the end?
Yeah, Mike is playing more tanks now. Yeah. That's been a nice change.
Yeah.
Some nice Sejuani today, but I think it's just people don't see the full picture. They see the matches. They don't see what happens backstage in the scrim room, or sometimes even we don't know what affects my jungler or my previous teammates, like people like Santorin and Svensson have spoken up about just the pressure from the community, and maybe even the team atmosphere of TSM is very result and kind of pushing yourself focused. So that could just put so much pressure that people don't play to their fullest. So I think it's different for every single person, and I'm putting a lot of my time into making sure that Mike is he's really nervous before the games, and he was especially nervous in the first couple days, and just Song, Last Boy, and I, Mithy, we really try to bring him up and tell him that he just needs to do his best, and he just needs to play the way MikeYeung plays and play his game.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up the sort of the pressure that comes, because I did do this interview with Sven last week where he was talking about, like, he does feel less pressure now on Cloud9, and he doesn't blame Andy or anyone for that. He says it comes from the fans, and also maybe just kind of like the internal climate, because TSM has this history of success. Is that something that you think is a good thing? Is it something that you are identifying and thinking about, just sort of the difference in climate on TSM versus other teams?
I think the environment comes from definitely the pressure of the fans, and I think the pressure that I put on my teammates as well, because when we win as Scrim, I don't just say that was a good game. I really scrutinize every single mistake that we could do better, and that can be a lot for certain people, which is why I think I click better with people like Double Lift, like Sven, even like MikeYeung, because Mike, from watching his streams on P1, he's so self-critical, and in between every single solo queue game, even if he's 10-0, he'll watch that one skirmish where he's like, oh, I should have used my skill shot differently in that way. And I really saw myself in that, which is why I wanted Mike on the team in the first place. So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword where there has to be some kind of urgency, and I've had rosters in the past, Season 4, Season 5, where there was no urgency to improve, and there was no pushing each other, and it leads to eventually you just what's it called?
Complacency.
You get stale in your improvement, and people don't recognize their issues as easily. So I feel like to some degree you have to create urgency in yourself and your teammates and push each other, but you don't want it to come to the level where it's affecting your mentality. Maybe you're becoming like depressed or really sad because there's so much pressure on you every single day. So I think we're actively working on finding that sweet spot. And I think ever since Doublelift joined the team in 2016, he's done a really good job teaching me and showing me that you can have an environment where you can be really hard and pushing each other in scrims, and then right after that meeting is over and that argument is over or scrims is over, you can be joking and being friends and laughing. I think that's something Peter was good at and taught me that I use now with my team.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but one thing that is interesting to me is that you can look at both TSM and Golden Guardians. You guys just played each other. You guys are a top-tier team with a ton of experience. They're new and unfortunately at the bottom of the rankings right now. And then after the first, both of you guys had pretty tough records as of late in the scene. Sorry, we'll get you your water. We're good. No, we're good. That's fine. I know. And what is interesting to me is, okay, we're back on a best-of-one schedule, and it was only the first 2 weeks. But at the end of last week, I had this feeling that Golden Guardians, who had said, like, we're here to think about things in long term, and TSM, who, obviously just changed up a ton of your roster, but have this history of being able to come back. Both teams just felt awful, right? That they had this terrible record and so much frustration. Even just seeing people leave, it feels like, Matt did say the morale is okay on Guardians, but it just feels like you guys are taking these losses so heavily. Do you think that's a bad thing? I mean, it is the first couple of weeks, and they are best of ones, or is that just sort of the nature of being a pro player?
Just taking the losses so hard, even though they're best of ones.
Yeah, and also, in your guys' situation, obviously you know that you had to start off a little slow because so much of the roster changed. The majority of the roster changed. You have to integrate that stuff. On the Guardian side, they know that they've built this team that's supposed to build long term. So, in my mind, not all of you guys should have been like, "Oh, they're unfortunate losses, but expected." But instead, you guys seem to all be taking it so hard.
Because the losses are never expected, even though, sure, we might feel like we potentially might have had a slow start before week one. No one comes in expecting to lose. We always come in expecting to win if we play our best. And in none of those games, we did feel like we played at our best or we made the best decisions. So, of course, you're still going to be disappointed in yourself, but it's not something that hangs around. It's something that lasts an hour or two or even less. Sometimes we just get in the back room, and especially after the Echo Fox game, I felt a lot of responsibility was on me. I could have easily carried the game through better positioning, better calls, and I came in, I apologized to my team and said, this game was on me. I could have done many things differently to win. And right there, my teammates started picking me up, and our atmosphere turned from being awful because we lost and everyone is sad to everyone was complimenting each other on what they did well and complimenting Mike because he played with so much confidence. So after every loss, there's going to be that, oh man, we disappointed ourselves and we didn't play to our expectations. But our team, I think because we have so many veterans outside of Mike, are so quick to switch that around and use that as fuel for practice.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Is there anything that you would like to say to any of the fans out there?
I think you guys are going to continue to see us getting better and better with each game and each week. And there's been a lot of people shitting on me and shitting on Mike and my team, and I think that's to be expected. But I do appreciate the fans that come out to LCS, or the fans that I see tweeting at me that are really supporting us no matter what, that are TSM fans, not just fans of certain players that instantly leave. I think that's completely fine, but it's nice to see that there are certain fans that are just diehard TSM fans, even through roster changes, even through awful performances. They're there to support me and my team, and I appreciate those people a lot.
Well, thank you so much for the interview. I really appreciate it. And for everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed that interview. I certainly did. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe because, in partnership with Omni Slash, we got a bunch more interviews coming out from LCS. Make sure you don't miss them.